Hey guys, I just wanted to make a video here to be able to show you guys how to create this part, which will be part of the activity that you guys will be doing tomorrow. So we're going to be in 1.2.5, sketches, extrusions, and revolutions. Oh my. And you guys will be working through this assignment, but rather they give you the step-by-step instructions here, but I also just wanted to show you, you guys already know how to do extrusions and how to use the fillet command. There is a couple new things in this activity for using the revolve command and also the chamfer command, which I will show and demonstrate here for you, okay? Later on, you'll be working through other things and creating more things, but I first wanted to show this first part to you. Okay, so we're going to jump into Onshape here, and I'm going to create a new document actually for this. We're going to call it 1.2.5 revolutions. But it's important that you name your files appropriately to help you retrieve them later, because oftentimes they will refer back to them as they do in this activity. So a good naming structure and then multiple parts naming them will help you be able to reuse them. So we're gonna hit OK, jump in here. And I'm just gonna go back and look at this again here. So the way that we have this larger cylindrical piece and then a square piece jutting up in the middle of it. So let's start with this first piece here. So it's 30 millimeters. Now notice that all the dimensions are in millimeters, so we want to make sure that we change our units to millimeters. So don't miss that, okay? This drawing will be done in millimeters. All right, so we're 30 millimeters overall and a diameter of 40 millimeters. All right, so we're going to create this. We can do this in two different ways. We could do it the way that we have been doing it, creating a 40 millimeter circle and then extrude it. But I want to actually show you how. I'll show you both real quick. But first, let's make sure we get the units right. So go up to here to the document menu, workspace units. Click workspace units, and instead of the default being inches, we are going to go to millimeters. Okay. This again shows you how many decimal units, degrees for angles, mass. Let's go to kilograms. You can make this grams, it doesn't really matter, but since we're going with millimeters, we're kind of making this metric. I figured let's go ahead and go with kilograms, okay? Green check and we're all good. All right, so let's first do it with an extrusion, okay? So I want the thing to be vertical, so I'm going to right click on the top view and create a new sketch. Again, N for normal, and then I'm going to create a 40 millimeter diameter circle. And green check that. And all right, here we are with the top view. It'll give me back to my front view. Ooh, where am I? There I am. Okay, I'm going to extrude it now. Let's extrude it. Select this, and I'm going to go for a blind depth of 30 millimeters vertically. And I'm going to green check that. All right, so that was how we have done it up to this point. I want to now show you a different way to make that part. Okay, so that's how we could do that the way that we have been doing that. I'm going to delete this extrusion and then delete this sketch. So isometric, kind of get me back to my starting point. This time, I'm going to actually create a revolution about the right view. So I'm going to first create a sketch on the front view. So I'm going to right click, new sketch, get me back to normal here with the N. And this time I'm going to draw a rectangle, except this time it's going to be 20 millimeters wide and 30 millimeters high. I'm going to green check that. And now I'm going to want to create a revolution about the left edge here, or this vertical axis, which is the right plane. Okay, so let's see. Here's our extrude, here's the revolve command. We'll eventually use all these, but let's click on this revolve command and see what we got. Okay, so again, just like before, it's asking you for the faces or the sketch regions that you want to actually revolve. So let's pick our rectangle here. And now it's asking us for the revolve axis. Select the axis to revolve around. Okay, so if we click on there, I want to actually click the left edge of this rectangle. Okay, if there was some other line or other reference, it doesn't have to physically be on this. We can revolve around anything. It's just telling you that that needs to know what axis do I want to rotate this face of basically what we created here as a rectangle around. So I want to make it a solid cylinder, so I'm going to rotate it around the left edge here. Now, by default, it's rotating it as full. Okay, so you can do in one direction and change the amount of angle that you want to, right? Like if we wanted to do a semicircle or a half, we could do 180 degrees, right? And that would give me a semicircle, okay? But in essence, the full is a 360 degree, fill me and rotate all the way back around to the original plane. Some of these other ones are symmetric, right? So you could rotate in two different directions from the plane that you created the sketch, which would be two different, that would be equally symmetrical versus two different directions. You can do it different degrees in each direction is really what this is for. But for what we're doing here, all we need is a full 360 degrees. So we're going to go ahead and click full. And again, that's the revolve command. Again, you can revolve around any axis. It doesn't have to be attached to the physical sketch that you made that you are trying to revolve. Okay, so far we got that. Now we need to make that extrusion that pops out from the top. So let's go back and take a look at our drawing. And it is 10 by 10. Okay, so it's a 10 by 10 and 15 millimeter high. So we're going to go here. Again, I'm going to right click on the actual face of the sketch, make a new sketch, go normal. And this time I'm going to use a rectangle that is a center point rectangle, okay? Because I want it to be right in the center. There it is. All right. And that was 10 millimeters by 10 millimeters. And green check on my sketch. Go to extrude. I select this face here. There you go. And I want to flip it. Boolean results has no geometry changed. Okay. We are going to go to a depth of 15 millimeters. It's not liking this. So we want to add. Right, let's add and change our direction here. There we go. All right, so we want to add it to the part. We don't want it to be a separate piece. We want it to actually physically add and attach it to there. So we're up 15 millimeters. We're good to go. We're going to hit the green check. And now our part is starting to take shape. So the last thing that we need to do to complete this part, looking back here, is we need to add this fillet on the inside here, which you can see from this perspective right here. Okay, it has a radius of 5 millimeters, and that's going to be in each of the 4 different planes there. And then we also need to create this chamfer. So let's create this fillet first on the inside edge with a radius of 5 millimeters. So we're going to go to our fillet command. Again, no reason to need to do anything here in a sketch. We're just going to actually do this in 3D. Again, here's the fillet command. 5 millimeters is already defaulted to that. So I want to actually select each of these It's actually filling it in as I go. And I hit all 4 sides. and now they're all curved. So we're going to be done with that. So there is our fillet on the inside corner of that little knob that's sticking out. Now the last piece is a chamfer that we want to do to this bottom edge here. All right, so let me get you back to isometric. Okay, and go back here. So it's going to come in 5 millimeters at an angle of 30 degrees. Now a chamfer, so 30 degrees and 5 millimeters. So a chamfer over here is a straight cut off of the corner. There's a couple different ways to define that. So let's click on here. All right, so entities to chamfer, it wants to know what it is I want to chamfer. And what we are going to chamfer is this entire edge all the way around the bottom. Now you can see it cut off quite a bit there. And let's look and see how we can define this. Okay, so equal distance means basically it's going to cut off on a 45-degree angle for whatever the distance is, and equally split it between the vertical plane and the horizontal plane of that corner. But what we can do two distances where you can define each distance up the side of the plane and into the middle of the horizontal plane. But what we want to actually do is not two separate distances. We want to define a distance and an angle. Okay, so the angle was 30 degrees and the distance was 5 millimeters. Okay, so 5 millimeters. And let's see if we toggle this, it changes the orientation of which edge is tracking the 5 millimeters on. Okay, and we want it actually on that one. Okay, so it's 5 millimeters in and 30 degrees. So let's look at that from the front view. And there you can see that profile, and let's just go back and check. And that's exactly what we want, 5 millimeters in and on a 30-degree angle. And there you have our part. Let me go ahead and green check this to close it. Go back to, well, I'm in the plane there, isometric view so you can see it. And there you go. There is our part that we created, again, using that revolve command, the fillet on the inside edge and the chamfer at the bottom edge. Hopefully this helps, guys. Thanks.